have learned the term, which the term is out there. It's NAD, as in no active disease. And I had mentioned before that we do labs every 3 months. And so after my second battle, of course, I was back to every 3 months doing labs. And so we would do tumor markers, and those tumor markers were tripled from a prior markers in November of, where are we, 2024? Yes. So in November of 2023, when I did my labs, my tumor markers were 3 times what they were 3 months prior to that. And that can mean nothing, or it could mean something. As I had mentioned, the tumor markers are correlated with a CAT scan or a scan of sorts, depending on, what type of cancer, whatever. And so my physician ordered a CAT scan. And it's so interesting because when the labs were elevated, I asked her if I could do a scan because she didn't recommend one. She said, you had a scan recently. And I said, well, how about a PET scan then? Because I wanted to do a CAT scan. And with CAT scans, there's a high risk of radiation. And so you want to be careful with that as well. And so too much exposure is not good. And she had said no to the CAT scan. And at first I was blown away. And then I was just like, well, maybe God is telling me to be patient, right? And so I didn't think anything of it. But the next day, the people from the, what do you call it? Chemo Brain is Real, by the way, from the scheduling department called because she had actually ordered the CAT scan. So I felt good that I was learning to be patient if that's what God wanted me to do. But then I was, of course, extremely happy that she had ordered the scan, because my fear was, if in 3 months my labs had tripled, then only who knows what could be going on inside my body if I were to wait for the next 3 months. And so then we did the CAT scan, and the CAT scan did show that there is metastasis, which means that my cancer had now spread to my lymph nodes. So my first cancer, the breast cancer, was one cancer. My uterine cancer was a separate cancer from my breast cancer. But now this is now a metastatic disease, which means that it has spread to my lymph nodes. So no surgery, but I had to go down the chemo road again. If I chose to, that is, because they give you options. Nobody forces you to do any kind of treatments. And so my treatment options were chemo. Radiation was not recommended, just based on the type where my cancer had now been. Maybe if it was in an organ, then maybe radiation, because you could actually radiate that particular organ. Or she said I could do nothing. And for me, nothing is not an option. People may think that as Christians that God will just heal them, or they may choose not to do, conventional treatment options, or it could be giving up, you know what I mean? So it could be that as well. But I opted again for chemo. We had fairly good results, with chemo in the past, and I still think I'm young enough to keep fighting, but it hit hard. I'm going to tell you, this time it hit really hard. My previous cancers, I've never said, why me, right? Why not me? I'm no different than the next person. I'm a wife, I'm a mom, I'm a friend, I'm a daughter. I'm just like the next person. And who would I want to give this burden to if I could? Nobody deserves it. So I never said, why me? Second time, still never said, why me? But this third time, it shook my entire being to the core. It shook me to the core. There are no words to describe how I felt getting that news again. Yeah, it was horrible, horrifying. But, we had to tell our kids again. It was November, so here's Thanksgiving, here's Christmas. And, those are happy times, happy moments that I just did not want to necessarily bring my family down, bring my kids down. they've had to deal with this for so many years, and to do this again, so we waited. Christmas is just a happy time. It's family time. It's just a loving time, and so, yeah. And I remember sharing with my friends, 2 days before Christmas. It was hard. It was very hard.